Alright guys, I want to give you a quick little update on the plants that we have on the inside of the house. Some are doing good, some of them are doing alright. Obviously the tomatoes were some of the first things to actually germinate. They're doing good. A couple of them have their true leaves, but some of them aren't doing all that great. I did want to have a little experiment and use the potting soil as opposed to like just a regular tan bark to see how they were going to do. This is pretty much garden soil that is a mulch cover, and everything pretty much germinated. However, the potting soil did do better in terms of how many actually sprouted up. And then over here we have a couple more plants. We have a ton of lettuce that I kind of just overseeded this little container, so we'll end up transplanting those outside in the new raised bed. We have our basil, which is doing good, and then we have a cabbage right here, which is doing nice. Our zucchini right here, our black beauty zucchini, are doing really good. And honestly, it's about time that I just move these into a bigger container or out of this space because they grow so fast. And I will probably just put this in a little garden tote out in the backyard and let those take off. We have some red onion here. It's doing really good. Those I just kind of overseeded, and I will transplant those individually into a different area when they're ready. The broccoli and some of the other brassicas are getting a little leggy. I do have a fan in here that actually tries to blow on them to make them a little bit stronger, but because of the height of the light that I'm using to grow, these guys just want to go as high as they can to reach that light source, so that's why they get so leggy. I will have to bring the light source down a little bit. We do have one marigold right here that's doing pretty good. He is putting out some bigger leaves. I'm excited to see how that'll do. Some of the other marigolds and some of the other plants, though, you can see there's just empty space. I don't have anything that's coming up. I will have to start fertilizing a lot of these plants soon. They're starting to get some yellow leaves, and so they're going to need some more nutrition than what's in the potting soil or this mulch cover. But like I said, the tomatoes, I have a ton of varieties this year that are actually starting to do really good, and I'm excited to see how those perform. But the tomatoes were the first ones to germinate. And then we do have some of our Hungarian yellow wax peppers that are coming up. They're not big enough to transplant, and I did overseed some of the containers so that I could try to get these to germinate as fast as possible and see how many I could end up with. But we will have to probably thin these guys out once they get a little bit bigger. But I'm just waiting to see how many more germinate. But like I said, we still have a ton of brassicas that are getting leggy because they don't have enough light and enough access to that light, and they don't have enough wind that's actually making their stems stronger. So they're kind of leggy, but I'm gonna go ahead and go outside, and I'll take these black beauties with me and we'll put them in a... But I'm gonna go ahead and go outside and take these black beauties with me, and then we'll just transplant them into one of our gardening containers and see how these guys do. Another thing that I forgot to mention is that on some of the popsicle sticks, you can see that the names of the plants that I have in here are actually starting to bleed. That's just because the popsicle stick is trying to wick up a lot of the moisture that's in some of these containers. So from here on out, I'm gonna go to what I use outdoors, which is these plastic tags and a Sharpie, so that I can actually remember the names, because some of these are getting a little hard to read, but that's just an extra little garden tip. All right, we've got our label made. Just gonna go ahead, stick that guy in there, or actually, you know what? I'll just wait a second, and then I'll dig a little bit of a hole for this new plant. I think that's about just right for this square. Break this open. There is another zucchini in here that's getting started, so we'll see how that one does. But you can see really good root development all the way around. I'm just gonna plop this in here, and then once I get this situated, then I'll just hill this up a little bit. All right, these zucchini are done. I'm just gonna go ahead and put the little name tags. And next we have to up pot one of our avocado trees. So I'll come over here and grab this little guy. We're gonna go ahead and up pot this from the smaller pot into a little bit of a bigger one. Before we plant this guy out, I want to throw in some 6-month fertilizer into his new container. And then I have some bone meal in this little bag. Just take a scoop of that. Not too much. You don't want to overload it, but I just like to dust around the edges. And then you can even dust the root ball once you get it out of the container. And then let me see if I can do this one-handed. If not, it is what it is. But I'm just trying to squeeze the container and then get some of this. I am gonna have to do this with 2 hands, so hold on 1 second. All right, I got it out of the container, put some more of the bone meal around the root system. I'm just gonna go ahead, plop them in there. You can be kind of, not aggressive, but you don't have to be so gentle with these guys. They're really not that sensitive to being transplanted. And then I just wanna take some of my potting mix and just kind of press this down and make sure that this guy is standing straight up. And then I'll give them a little bit of water, but not too much because it's still raining out here in California. And that is one of our seedlings up potted. And then we'll move on to the next garden task for the day. All right, for our next garden task, we're gonna go ahead and get these kind of rectangle containers I was talking about in the garden update situated so that we can grow some burgundy bush beans and some snap peas in there. We do have some cow peas in here, but the reason why I said that I want to go with the rectangles instead of the circular containers is because I don't want my peas or whatever I'm growing in here to have to reach all the way from this end of the container all the way over here just so that it can get started going up the trellis. So that's why I went with the rectangular containers. The only thing about these ones that you have to be aware of, I have 2 right here, is that on the bottom, these don't have any holes. So we're gonna go ahead and take our little drill. This has a 3/8 bit, and then we're gonna make a couple holes. Obviously you wanna do them in sections that are gonna be kind of areas where water is gonna pool. And so I'm gonna go ahead, make a couple holes, and then we'll get these filled up with soil and we'll plant some more beans. But just to show you guys a quick update, this is what the cow peas look like. They're coming up, they're germinating, so that's really good to see. And they're doing well for right now. So let's get it done. All right, before we go ahead and plant these guys in, we're gonna go with our 2 favorite combos. We got the 6-month fertilizer, just a little bit, not too much. Just a little bit, not too much. And then what we'll do is we'll take the bone meal again. And I'm okay with spreading this all over in this container because the roots are gonna get pretty well developed in this small little space. So they're gonna pretty much absorb a lot of this material. And then once we have all that in, then I'm gonna go ahead, put the beans in, and then cover it with some more soil. All right, these guys are all done. Burgundy bush beans, and then sugar snap peas, and then hopefully within the next 12 to 15 days, we'll see them pop up and they can go ahead and start trellising this fence line.